This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back, everyone. Who are you? That's my question for you today. Who are you? Who am I? Do you know who you are? And it sounds like a basic fundamental question, but once you start doing a little bit of work, if you will, kind of dissecting what makes you tick, who you really are, what you stand for, what's important to you, what your purpose is, you look at things a little bit differently. So we're going to talk about that today, finding you. And this is just a piece of what she does to help people find who they are and so much more as a psychotherapist. And she works with everybody from children, teens, to adults, couples, and more. Susie Engel is back on the program with us. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
I get downloads of music, and I heard the song "Who Are You" by The Who, which came out in like 1978-ish.
I'm singing it now in my head.
Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Like, I wonder. I mean, if you task somebody with writing down who they are, I bet you many would be challenged to really explain who they are, what they stand for. And I struggle with knowing whether you really know yourself. How do you know? Lots of questions today for you.
Yeah, this is a huge subject. I actually read a lot of one scholar named Alan Shore who writes about this. He's an interdisciplinary researcher and expert in the psychology field, and he's just such a fantastic person and can put to words a lot of what you're asking today. But let's just talk about this, because we could do a weekly podcast on this for 5 years.
This is the Who Are You podcast. Yeah.
Who are you?
Who are you?
I really want to know. And this is the thing, like we all, I think, are born with a blueprint to flourish in life and develop in life on a certain task. I'm not talking about people with organic brain stuff or neurodiversity. I'm talking about just a healthy individual who's born into the world. We have a bit of in our DNA and our blueprint as humans to flourish in life. And then as life starts occurring environmentally, I think it starts interfering how we develop. So some of that interference, I think, interrupts our getting to know ourselves. So if we have a relatively secure upbringing, and I'm always going back to attachment, if we have a relatively secure upbringing, we're on a pretty good trajectory to also develop a sense of self. And this is a lot of what Alan Shore and his wife also, who is a wonderful scholar, has written about. And then the polyvagal system, all these things that have created spin-offs of other experts in the field, Dan Siegel and Stephen Porges. I'm just going to put those names out there because they're experts in their fields and research. And I often am at a blank of citing research. But anyway, the issue is when life starts happening and people are not attuning to youngsters and helping them process experiences on their terms or at wherever the child is, sometimes the child gets confused, or this internalizing of negativity. And I think that interrupts who am I and who can I be? And it's huge. It's just a huge issue. But if we're talking about day-to-day things, what would people write if we pose that question to the audience? You are not defined by your job. You are not defined because you have a role in your family. The sense of self is all these rich elements that you were alluding to of, what are our values and what are our motivations in life and what are our goals and how would I describe myself? And it's a big thing. I don't know if anything is popping for you because I could ramble on about this, but this is just like how huge the issue is. But we develop a relationship with ourselves that develops our sense of self.
So, would you say that when we're born, we are born with this right here? This is the blueprint. I'm holding it like the old-fashioned, like scroll it open. You're going to build something. There's a blueprint. There's your GPS for who you are and how to attain that. The direction you're supposed to be going in. Call it your life's purpose, whatever it is. It's right here. You were born with it. Now life begins, and you even call that blueprint GPS, and we go in a different direction for whatever reason, just experiences in life. Then comes the limiting beliefs. Now we've gone in a different direction. Now we're turning over here, we're turning here, but we lost track of the straight line that we were supposed to go in to live the best, most fruitful life for us and others. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I would say this. I would say we're born with the capability to flourish in life, and it's not just that one scroll of a blueprint. It's also how are our parents or attachment figures or support network attuned to us? How are they good enough? I think there's like a famous author that said, um, um, great is a feast. We don't need a feast. We need good enough, you know.
Mm.
Um, but I will say that it's not just the fact that it's in our DNA to flourish. It's also in our environmental influences in terms of how we're raised and how comfortable our parents are with plugging into us as individuals, not what they want us to be,
Well,
not
are you saying supporting what our passions are, supporting what our passions are, which was also contained on that blueprint? That's the way, it was there. We as kids express certain things and then they support that because that's what our affinities are. But it
right.
goes back to the original plan, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, the for me, the original plan is have joy in life and flourish.
Well, oh,
If that
okay.
gets lost
I
along the
got
way,
you. That
yeah, if
that's
that gets
that's
lost, then we're not going to be motivated and our parents are going to be frustrated with us. But if we are 3 years old, 6 years old, and a little boy likes art and dance and not baseball and football, this is very gender
I got you.
oriented. If parents freak out about that and get stressed and want them to be, because the child is a boy, maybe he's going to be a great athlete someday, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, well, then the parents just
And
stole the joy. I mean, that's that. But yes, there should be joy, there should be happiness. But I'm thinking that that comes from when you're being your authentic self,
authentic,
who you are, who
yes,
and that little boy you refer to, who is he? He likes to dance and he likes to, be creative in that regard. So that's going to give him joy. Maybe he's wired that way. But yeah, and
definitely.
all hypothetical here.
And that's also in DNA too, if you think of
That's where
ancestry.
I'm going with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But then
yeah.
you have dad that's like, oh, that's all great, but hey, come to the baseball game with me. This is going to be great. Yeah, or a football game, and he's not really into it. But dad's trying to make him a sports fan, but he's not really into it. So
And
it's
how many times have people gone to like little league games and there's the stressed out parents who are going ballistic and then the kids are embarrassed by their parents.
But you know what's really interesting, and you
But
just
there's a
gave me
conflict.
the
Yeah.
epiphany here. Um, I was never into sports. I was also the chubby kid, And that just, but that has nothing really to do with it. I just wasn't into it. I wasn't exposed to it, and it's just not my thing. Take away
Right.
my man card, joking. But then I look at my son, and he's not into sports, and I don't know if that's his DNA because I'm not into it, or I didn't encourage him. But I will say, and this is where this is coming from. This is where this is coming from. You talked about Little League. So when he was little, put him in Little League. Yeah, give that a try. And I'm not, yeah, I don't want to speak for him, but he really wasn't really into it. He wasn't really
Yeah.
that good. You know, it just, he didn't have the passion for it. I just think that that's the way he was wired. And that's the way I was called. Maybe it is a DNA thing. I don't know. I don't think my father was into sports either.
And this is the issue, though. You don't have to be good at something to really enjoy it. I think there's
Good
a real
point.
rub about stuff like that, too,
Good point.
where people just think, well, I'm not good at golf. So then they get more and more stressed, or I'm not good at, and they get more. You don't have to be good at something to enjoy it. And that takes a lot of character, right?
I'm glad
If
you
we're
brought this
talking
up.
about sense of self, that
Yes.
takes a lot of like
Courage.
I'm and courage, character. I can be who I am when you're talking about the authentic self. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And it's not about being good at something or not good at something. It's
Mm,
about what you get gratification at, what you're enjoying, or what you are also motivated to improve upon. That's a sense of self.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just a little aspect of it. That's not the whole sense of self. Right. Right.
Totally. Yeah, and it blows me away when people say, I'm not creative. I'm not an artist. I can't draw. Stop it.
Right.
Everybody can. Everyone is creative in all different ways. You throw somebody a couple of art supplies or whatever, there's a good, and give them a broad range, from a tin can to a string to Elmer's glue to markers, whatever. They will come up with something that is more creative than I can do, and you in their own way. And throw me a marker. I'll draw you cartoons. I'm going to be better than you, probably, because was a passion of mine. But if it came to another aspect of creation, I'm probably not that. I can't. Everybody's got creativity in them, I feel.
And you said something, I'm just trying to retrieve it because my brain is firing a lot right now. But it's also if somebody this also relates to the topic of who am I? What is my sense of self? If I have a negative narrative going on about myself, that I'm not creative, I'm not artistic, I'm not whatever that not is, which is a negative belief system. I mean, I understand the reality is like I would never be a medical doctor because I don't have the capacity to I just don't think I have the brain power. I think I'm a very intelligent individual, but I can say I am not cut out to get through med school because I don't
Sure.
understand chemistry. If my son taught me chemistry, he's very logical about science. I would have had a different thing going on for myself. But I had teachers who just taught at me and I never absorbed what they were saying. And that becomes my narrative, right?
Well, okay, let's look at this now. Boy, we're hyper analyzing everything here. You say you can't do it. I would disagree. I believe we can do whatever we want if we really put our mind to it and really jump into it.
Or open ourselves to yeah, we just have to take a different route at it or a different angle to it.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. Like if my son were my science teacher when I was a little girl, I would have had a different understanding of chemistry and science. I
Mm.
always liked bio, but because he's so logical about it, I'm like, oh, too bad I didn't learn that when I was 13.
I'm right there with you, but it's also
No,
we personally
I agree with you.
probably don't have the passion for it. So, what's going to take somebody else who is passionate about chemistry? They're going to learn it quick. It's going to take us longer. I can't.
I
I don't
like
want to say I
that.
can't. dancing, like I look at people who salsa and ballroom dance. I'm not coordinated. I can't remember moves. I can't. Well, I shouldn't say I can't. I don't have the passion for it. Can I learn it? Yes, it's going to take me 5 times longer than somebody else. I could figure it out, but I don't find country line dancing. I'll go somewhere and people are doing their thing, spinning around. I was like, good for them. I'm glad they're enjoying it. Just not my thing. Can I learn it? Yes, but it's just not. And personally, everybody looks robotic as they're following somebody. That doesn't look fun for me.
Right.
But could we learn it? Yes, we could. If we, I think if it was in your blueprint. I beat it to a different drum. So do you.
I think so too. I think so too. I just think that it's very important for people who feel maybe stuck in life or trapped or lost in life. And we hear these things a lot, just in general conversation with people who we talk with, and maybe not even necessarily my clientele, but I think just general people we socialize with. I think that that's the core of not knowing myself, not having had the chance to develop and give the attention needed to develop a relationship with myself before I go out and understand relationships with others, whether I'm 4 years old or 44 years old.
Well, it goes back to the classic, you need to love yourself before you can love others.
Yeah.
Let's say, Susie, that somebody has done some work on themselves, realized some things, maybe what they do now as an adult based on their childhood. They got a little insight, oh, this is how this all works here, the subconscious and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on a path to growth within themselves, getting to know themselves, right? How do you know you truly know yourself? Like, how do you know if you are your true, authentic self? I've arrived. I figured it out. This is who I am. How do you know?
Yeah, I am very sure people know because there isn't this heaviness of doubt. There isn't a heaviness of loss of confidence or what there isn't constant. I would say I was thinking of this earlier in our conversation, but didn't have a chance to formulate my thought about it, but that underlying script of self-criticism. And I'm not saying that there's an abandonment of continued growth. I don't think that ever stops. Continuing to grow and continuing to know ourselves and and continuing to learn new things or set out to meet our goals or whatever these things are in life. Or be curious and set out to explore our curiosities. But I think that there's a definite shift in people, and they can tell you that they feel lighter and they feel comfortable in their skin, in contrast to describing, I'm just never confident, I'm just not sure of myself, I'm not sure where I fit or where I belong or what's going to happen in my future. I mean, these are just common comments that everybody says, or not everybody, but a lot of people say. And I think getting to know yourself is clarity around these. And it's the constant self-criticism. That's a structure in the brain that develops through life. If we're not developing a sense of self, there's a good chance that something's like developing a strong bicep, a strong muscle in the brain of self-criticism.
Do you also feel, and I totally agree with you, trying to get rid of that self-criticism, like minimize it once you know yourself. Do you feel that when you're closer to true authenticity, when a situation arises, you know how to react to it, as opposed to just going on autopilot and like, freaking out or whatever it is? Like,
Yes.
yeah. And it might take you a moment to process it, but you're in the zone, so to speak.
I think that that's a beautiful place to go in our conversation because what you're saying is you know how to react to it, but I would say use the word respond because when
Okay.
we get to know each
Yeah.
other, I mean, each other, when we get to know ourselves, we're like saying, wait a minute, 3 months ago, I would have blown up about this, or I would have freaked out about this, or I would have
Mm-hmm.
just had this reaction that didn't fit the situation at all, an emotional reaction. And here I am handling things, responding to things, and in an age-appropriate way. So when we know a 7-year-old who's comfortable with herself or himself and knows himself and is on this trajectory, this kid has impulse control because reactivity comes from the alarm system.
Right.
Impulsivity comes from the alarm system. And when we get to know each other, ourselves, I keep on saying each other like I'm multi-personality, which is probably true, but those are defenses and structures in the
Those are your
brain
parts.
too.
You don't have multiple personalities. We all have multiple parts, if you will.
Parts, right?
Parts, right?
And they're defenses. They're
Oh, sure.
defenses. When we develop a sense of self, we are responding and kind of I think of it as like striding through life, like beautiful long, like a healthy walk, a healthy gait, arms swinging, like
Mm.
we are knowing ourselves.
Like it's all good. I
Yeah,
got me. I figured me out. It's all
yeah.
good. And
And then
just
we attract healthy. We
wow,
attract healthy. It's like magic.
you said something that very much resonates in my mind, and I practiced it late last week. When situations come up, I used to, and I'm sure many of us do, or maybe used to, just like I would go into like, what? Freak mode, what? That can't be, and it would go on for, a day, could be two, maybe a week, whatever it was. Now I respond to it, and it was a situation, and it shouldn't surprise me, but it surprised me because it wasn't right in my mind, and I pile it on, do the right thing for all, and it, it it moved me, but it was out of my concern in like an hour, maybe two.
That's great. But that's a sign of like the authenticity and knowing yourself, right? That you rebounded, you processed this because you're knowing yourself differently. You're secure about yourself. So rather than a day or 3 days or 3 weeks for some people, in an hour, you resolved. It was unpleasant, but these things, look at life. Life never stops throwing difficulties and stressors and curveballs or bumps in the road. Life never, therapy doesn't end stressors. Therapy doesn't eliminate stress. Therapy teaches us to get to know ourselves well enough to cope adaptively with stress. And
Hmm.
that's like just a beautiful thing, right? That's wisdom.
How about this in closing? Because I thought about this as we're talking. If it was 5 years ago, before I started digging into all the stuff that we're talking about and getting to know oneself and everything, if you asked me 5 words to describe me 5 years ago, I don't know. Well, let me think about that. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe there's I see them pretty clearly at this moment in time. Now they could change in a year or whatever it might be, but I see them. So 5 words to describe you, go.
Okay, count. I would say I am content.
Hmm.
I'm secure. I like myself. I love hearing from other people and getting to know other people. And I have a lot of interests in my life that I make the time to pursue.
Those weren't words, but I'll pare them down. Like when you talked about people, that's connection, activities and
Oh, yeah.
interests. Yeah, okay, but I got it. I got it. We totally got it. Um, if it was 5, 10 years ago, would you be able to answer that as freely and easily as you did?
Yes.
Really?
I
Okay.
mean, I would have to go back like 45 years ago
Well,
to
this is also what you
not be
do.
able to answer those questions.
This is what
Or
you
maybe
do. So,
50 years ago.
but you're plugged into you and have been because I have to believe in what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
It-
and I had to work through all this stuff,
sure.
which everybody, I mean, we have to work through attachment wounds. And even if we have great parents, there's still stuff we have to work through.
Mm.
And you can't, I could never do this job and not have worked through myself. It would be the blind leading the blind. I mean, that would be a hot mess.
This is what I'm saying. This is because this is what you do. For me, the 5 words probably would be truth. I pilot on facts. Loyalty. Drives me crazy when people aren't loyal. Creative, I would say. And I always felt that I was, but now I own it. And I didn't really so much in the past. Organized. I'm not a perfectionist anymore. But I said for like relatively
nice.
Organized. I'm a Virgo, comes with the territory. And I have to add resilient. Like I, realized in the last few years, like, you pull that one off. You pull that one off. All right, yeah, you got more going on than you ever thought, because I've gotten to know me a little bit more. It's amazing when you start thinking about this stuff.
I love that. I love your 5 words.
I could change tomorrow, but no. That's what I find is important.
I mean, they won't change. You're just going to add on more.
Sure.
More.
Yeah. Great talk today. We always start with, I wonder if that could be a podcast, but really, this is probably fundamental. So important.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
So if somebody needs to resurrect their blueprint and figure out who they are with help, how do they find you? What's the best way?
My website, Susan Engel -LCSW. Do I have to spell it?
Well, Susan, SUSANENGEL, and then just put a dash in there, LCSW.com. Yeah. You're so easy to talk to. It's love. What we dig up here. Because this one today is like, I think just the most important thing if you want to have a great life, feel connected to others, certainly to yourself, what you talked about, that joy, you got to do this stuff first.
And also do that for your children. Just love your children for who they are.
Yeah.
Delight in them, not because they earned something.
Right. I appreciate you and look forward every time we get together. Thank you for today.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.